Hey guys, it's Gala here from Gala Trades. In this video, I will be going through the June and July performance for 2024. This video might be a little bit late as today we have August 14th, but anyway, better late than never. So first thing first, we have to look at the dates of June 1st, then the end date should be the July 31st. So I'm gonna go through the statistics for June plus July. At the end of the August, I'm gonna make the same video about the August performance. So for now, let's just dive into the Tradezella statistics. Recently, I have discovered new widget of advanced calendar. It is showing me the performance of each week of the month, which is quite great to analyze your performance during the week, if it's green, if it's red, the statistics right there, the P&L, the number of traded days. And let's just go to the report. Okay, in this report section, we are looking, the first thing that I'm looking at is the P&L. So first things first, we want to make money while trading. So yeah, the best months was the July out of these two, like June and July. These statistics is just showing the best months out of them. So best month is $283,000 of profit in July. And the lowest is obviously June with $190,000 of profit. Let's just take a look at the commissions paid, total number of commissions. So here we have $21,511 of commissions paid just in 2 months. Yeah, that number might be huge, but still, I was trying to reduce this number as much as possible by just buying the at the money calls, at the money puts, so that I can invest more capital per contract. Otherwise, if I was to buy some cheap contracts, this number could have been a lot higher. All right. So the statistics are showing me the win rate. My win rate was 50%. So here you can see, guys, 88 trades, 44 positive, 44 negative. I barely have any break-even trades because even if I close my trade at break-even price, I still have commissions that I have to pay. So that is why I think I never had any break-even trade during the 3-year trading career from 2021, 2022, 2023, and this year, 2024. Okay. The first thing that I want to show you guys in the statistics is the setups, the performances. So as you guys can see, 5 of my patterns that I always use in the trading. I'm usually not trading anything outside of these 5 setups. So these are 1 to 3 pattern, bounce, break-in, retest, rejection, and trend continuation. So in 2023, I remember that the most amount of profits, the most amount of trades was allocated to trend continuation setup, and it made me the most amount of profits. And in this year, I see some change in dynamics in the market, in stock market. So this year, I see more of the break-in retest tendency in the market. And also that might be me just going into a trade a bit early, even when I see the potential 1 to 3 pattern. I'm not waiting for the third candle, I'm going in. So that's considered some break-in retest also. All right. So the break-in retest in these 2 months, it made me $363,000 of profits. The least amount of profits made are from 1 to 3 pattern, only 27,000. I think it's not the it doesn't mean that the 1 to 3 pattern is bad or rare. It's just me going into some trades early because 1 to 3 pattern usually, as we know, it's the trend bar, the resting bar, or some pullback, then the continuation of the trend. So in that case, usually I just take some opportunity to go as early as possible, close to my levels. So that's more of the break-in retest for me. That is why. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that the 1 to 3 pattern is something bad. It's still a very good, very high quality setup. But still, I prefer more the break-in retest. Okay, let's go through the mistakes that I have made. As usual, I have 3 most common mistakes, which are the bad entry, the early exit, and the not in the plan mistake. So let me tell you about the bad entry. It means that when the trade is going, I'm looking for my entry. When the price is going, I'm looking for my entry as close as possible to my levels. And when I'm going in a trade, as close as possible to the level, that means that I'm going in as close as possible to my stop loss. And that is why sometimes I think I was entering a little bit far from my levels. So that made my stop loss a bit wider than it should be. So I usually prefer tight stop loss so that I'm able to have only small amount of risk. And it's also easier for me to achieve 2 or multiple, 3 or multiple when I have only small amount of risk involved in a trade. That is why bad entry is the mistake that I have to work on very hard. The next mistake is early exit. Yeah, early exit, that might be the most frustrating mistake in the whole trading. Because usually when I'm going in a trade, the trade goes in my favor and I'm closing, trimming at 2 or multiple, 3 or multiple. And then when I run out of contracts, I see that the price is just surging, it's spiking, going to the next level and next level. And in that kind of situations, I find myself lacking patience. So when I'm lacking patience, it means that I'm trimming too aggressively or I'm not leaving any runners for some upper or maybe lower levels if I'm in the puts. So that's the source of FOMO feeling because sometimes, usually, you can make like 5,000 or 10,000 in a trade, but then you look a couple hours later and say like it could have been like a 50,000 trade or 60,000 trade. So when you're leaving a lot on the table during the trade, that just accumulates and creates some kind of a psychological mental pressure in your mind. Then it might lead to some mistakes in the trading, like oversizing, overtrading, revenge trading, some chasing. So usually I just keep myself disciplined, even though I leave a lot of profits on the table. I have my reasons because my reason should be the first trim is at 2 or multiple, then I'm gonna just shift my stop loss higher and higher and higher so that the last contracts, the last runners, they will be closed at stop loss, which is more than 2 or multiple, maybe more than 3 or multiple. So that is the way how I personally mitigate that mistake of early exit. I'm not sure that I will be getting rid of those mistakes anytime in the future. The only thing that I can do is just improve myself on just lowering the number of mistakes, but the mistakes will never be zero. All right. So the next biggest mistake is not in the plan mistake. So usually before the market starts, I have my pre-market plan. And usually I just trade everything inside of the plan. If the trade is outside of the plan, then it's automatically goes into the category of not in the plan mistake. That might be wrong, but also even for that mistake, I have my way to mitigate risk. And I just have, for example, if SPY is designated for calls in my pre-market plan, then I intraday see some opportunity for puts on the SPY, then I just size down. So if my usual size is like 40,000, 50,000, then I can just size for 10K or 15K, which is quite slow for me. I mean, quite small size for a trade. So when I'm having this small size for the trade, that means that I'm having small amount of stop loss amount. So usually if for my $40,000 trade, the stop loss is like 10%, for the same trade for $10,000, the same 10% will be quite small for me. But still, if that was some good opportunity to take advantage of, then I can just feel good that even while having smaller size, I just mitigated risk. I kept myself disciplined. I just had some good risk management and still took advantage, took at least small amount of profits on that trade. So yeah, these are the 3 most common mistakes that I made. Other mistakes I think are quite rare, something like oversizing, overtrading, some using the invalidated levels, so wide stop losses, counter trend. So usually I'm trading only with the trend. If the trend is upside, then I'm just going for calls. If the trend is going down, then I'm usually looking for puts, obviously. So let's look at the R multiple. All right. By the performance, by the profits generated, I have the most amount of profits generated by 4R multiple and more in this June plus July statistics. And also then I have my regular trades, which are ranging from 2R multiple to 3R multiple. These are making me the second amount of profits. So you can see the 4R multiple and more, it generated me $279,000 of profits. My 2R multiple to 3R multiple trades, they generated me $217,000 of profits. And also, you guys can see my losing trades. They generated me negative $213,000 of losses. So why they are from minus 1R to 2R? That's because usually, even when I just close my trade, ideally, like if my entry is at $5 and my stop loss is at $4, even if I close the position just strictly at $4 with the stop loss with discipline, still I have my commission that I have to pay. So that is why the position will be negative. I mean, the negative minus 1 point something R on that trade. That is why the most amount of losses accumulated in this area. Okay, let's talk about the expiration. Looks like I have taken advantage of the same day expiration, 0 DTE. They generated me the most amount of money, and I traded the most amount of trades during this same day expiration. So that means like Friday or every day for SPY and QQQ. Okay. Also, it looks like I barely make any good amount of profits when it's like 4, 3, 2 days till the expiration. That's why maybe that should be some statistic that I have to look at. So it means that I'm really good at taking advantage of elevated levels of volatility because of the expiration coming up. Okay, by the instruments. All right, so AMD made me the most amount of profits, but the most amount of trades occurred at NVIDIA, 19 trades in 2 months. So nothing quite significant to see here. By the volume of contracts. So usually I trade from 100 to 500 contracts per trade. Okay, the price. Let's say position sizing. Yep, for the position sizing, guys, as you can see, usually I trade from 40,000 to 50,000. So you can see here, these two accumulate for the most amount of money. And sometimes I trade small size. For example, when I'm trading something that's not in my plan, I can just use smaller size. Okay, and I barely oversize. So 1 or 2, maybe 3 trades during these 2 month statistics. And you guys can see that for the single trade that went for 90,000 and above, I am negative 18,000. That means that I just executed wrong, or maybe that was bad setup, or just that was okay, and that was just a small stop loss compared to the position sizing. Okay, let's go to the calendar. So in June, everything was quite good. I had only 6 red days, everything else was green. But one interesting pattern happened during the July. You guys can see in July I made good amount of profits. Then I had 2 really small loss days during the start of the July. Then on the Friday of July I made the most amount of profits for I think this year in a day. That was the record high day. But then suddenly the next week I made small profits on the Monday, and the next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday I was in a losing streak. In this losing streak, I lost more than $70,000. I have generated $137,000 profits in week 1, but week 2, I've been losing everything. That doesn't mean, this one doesn't mean that I can just spill my profits left and right. I had to just reflect on myself. You guys can see I took off Monday so that I will have like Sunday, Saturday, Monday, 3 days to analyze everything, to reflect, to keep my mentality, keep my balance, and just to analyze everything through the Tradezella, through the charts. So that was quite helpful for me. I think the reason why I was quite successful in the July is the winning at Tuesday, July 16th. I think after the losing streak, it's really, really important to have a winning trade. Yeah, sometimes we might not be that likely to have the first trade being profitable after the losing streak, but then if you are on that winning trade, that just restores your confidence. That just restores your confidence, not only in yourself, but also in your strategy, in your methods, in your discipline, in your trading itself. So I was quite lucky to capture the first trade, which was really, really profitable. That just motivated me to just keep my position sizing, not sizing down. Because usually when you are just sizing down after a losing streak, it becomes suddenly too hard to regain those profits. For example, if you are making losses with 10K size positions, then it's really hard to regain them back with 5K position sizing. That is why I kept my position sizing. Sometimes I even increased it when I took advantage of some really high quality setup. And overall, I finished this July with $284,000 of profits. I had 19 trading days, and out of 19 days, I had 7 losing days, and everything else was green. My win rate, as I told you, was 50%. Now, I'm not quite proud about it. I'm really trying to be more picky, more selective about the trades, and increase this one number as much as possible. So for me, 65, 70% will be perfect. I'm not sure if I can ever get this percentage to maybe 90 to 80, but even 70%, 65% will be really, really great for me. My profit factor is almost 3. That means that I'm making 3 times more in a winning trade than I'm losing on a negative trades. So here you can see average win, average loss in a trade. Average win is 16K, average loss is 5.5K. So yeah, guys, that was it for the June plus July recap. So here you can see the August. I have really, really great start for the August. So first 3 weeks, I have only green days. I am planning to be really disciplined. I'm not trying to make every day green because that leads to mistake. That leads to revenge trading. For example, tomorrow on Wednesday, if I will have like one negative trade, that does mean that I will be taking the second trade just to be profitable, just to make it green on the calendar. That would be actually satisfaction for me to have everything green, but still, that's not the point. The point is to always make good decisions, and the profits are just a byproduct of good decisions. So, yeah, guys, that was it for the video, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.